Yo,
Yo,
yo.
how's it going?
Great. How you doing?
How am I doing? I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing awesome. Thank you.
You
Welcome,
look awesome.
everybody. Thanks. How you guys doing tonight? Or today? I mean, tonight. Yeah, it is tonight for you guys. Sorry, yeah, I get so confused living out here in Australia. It's like just turned afternoon for me. It's 12 o'clock p.m. Um, yeah, Joe is dripped out. He's dripping with apparently my niece's craftsmanship. What he's
Yes,
wearing on his head is a scarf, but he's chosen to wear it as a hat.
I have worn it as a hat. It gives me dreads.
I like that. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
great. That's awesome. I'm
Yep.
existing. Well, that's the most important part. So that you're doing that right. You're doing that
Yes.
right, Jho. Way to go. That
Way to
part
go,
is needed
man.
for all the other parts to happen. All the other good stuff requires that part first. So nailing it, man. Nailing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday, show where we talk about the issues and problems on your mind and your daily life. We aren't here to be professional therapists or anything along those lines because we're not. But we can step alongside you on your journey through this life and attempt to be good friends and share some perspective and things from our lives, as well as just kind of talk about them in the chat. Sometimes just talking about a problem really helps to make headway and make
Mm-hmm.
it a little bit more approachable and less scary to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you guys come in. Your chat is you guys in the chat really helpful and awesome, providing some aid, assistance, and wisdom of your own. So we always really appreciate that when you guys do that. So thank you. Um, but yeah, that's what the show is. That's what the show is about. Being awesome, helping everybody out, and being a safe zone for people. So
Mm-hmm.
welcome. But yeah, see quite a few of you here. J-Ho, Outcats, as well as Saule. Man, Saule, you're awesome. Thanks for moderating. Thanks for always being on our shows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
August Stars. Oh, it's great to see you guys. Kel said that hopefully they'll be back soon if they aren't already. Um, oh, listen while you drive. Well, if you're driving right now, Cal, I would say we've got one from you, urgent, and I think you submitted it very recently. But if you're driving right now, I'm going to wait until you get home. I think that's probably the better call. That way you can kind of focus on the road right now. I think that's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Glad you can be here. Yeah, I'm glad you can be here too. That's awesome, J-Ho. You rock. But yeah, Joe, what you up to, man? How was your day?
Man, my day was something. I'll tell you what. It's crazy going on these days.
Hmm.
Trying to finish songs, trying to, like, man. Well, okay, so like I've been working at least one day a week over at your brother's house, right? And
Yeah.
so like I was supposed to wear this hat last week, which is, it's not a hat. It's a scarf. But your niece was like, "You have to wear it." I mean, cuz you know how she is. She's like
She is.
she's in charge, man. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Okay, I'll wear it." And then she's like, and then I forgot to take it. And so when I went back
Mm.
this week, she's like, "You forgot to take it." And I was like, "I did. I'm sorry. I'll wear it this week." And she's like, "Okay, you better." And so now you see
Mm-hmm.
that I'm here with it.
Yeah. I
But
was like, don't
yeah,
worry, man.
I'm doing pretty good. It's been wild.
That's great.
I was on the
Just
phone with
been
Steve until 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning last night. It was
oh
pretty intense.
wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
I
Yeah,
felt a
that
little
sounds
bit
intense.
I felt a little bit bad. I was in the VC on the Static P Friends server and we were hanging out and we were talking and having a good time and everything. And then all of a sudden I get this text from Steve and I'm like, "Uh-oh. The world's exploding."
Mm.
I'm like, "I'm sorry guys, I got to go." And so I got off
Yeah.
and I got off there and I got on a call with him and yeah, we were talking until like
What
3 in the
about
morning.
what time is that?
Oh, I don't know. Cats, you were there. What time did I leave?
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know.
got home, got to get inside and let the dog out. Awesome, Cal. No problem. We'll wait for you. That's not a big deal. Um, Excuse me. Yeah, I don't mind doing yours first, Cal. Just yeah, take your time. Go for it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. We've been watching the numbers for the new release that you worked on with Savage Tunes and BSS Collabs
hmm
and everybody, and like it was, and we've been
Yeah.
watching the numbers. And my son, who is Savage Tunes, like he's just like his mind is absolutely going bonkers, and everybody in his school is
Yeah.
like they're all freaking out, like, dude, you have so many listeners, and he's like, I know, it's crazy.
Really? That's awesome. I haven't been paying too much attention, so I'm really happy to hear that,
Oh
you
yeah, he's
know?
got almost
Um,
2,500 listeners, and it's been a week.
that's awesome. Way to go. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I always feel a little bit nervous and bad because I'm like, all right, here we go. We're gonna post this person's stuff. And I'm like, I'm gonna feel terrible because chances are, you put something online, it's not gonna get seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh man, they're gonna feel like they did crap job. Even if it's awesome, even if they did a
Mm-hmm.
great job, they're gonna feel like they did a crap job because they're not gonna get any views, you know?
Well, that's
Um,
how it is when you
but I'm
start,
happy to hear it's been
usually.
successful
Yeah.
so far.
Yep. And the amount of streams is bigger than the amount of listeners, which tells me that people are listening to it more than once, which is cool.
Nice.
And
That's a good sign. That's
not
huge.
just
That's
not
a
just getting it in their feed, listening to it for like 30 seconds and
hmm
then like never again, right?
Yeah,
So,
the best thing you can have is more listeners than streamers. Or sorry,
more streams
more
than
streams than
listeners.
listeners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. By like yeah, and the bigger the percentage of that, the better.
Mhm.
Because yeah, that's what makes the difference. For it's not like I like you. It's like based on the amount of listeners to streams, it's almost like I have 10 times more streams than I have listeners,
Mhm.
which is nuts. Which is probably
That's abnormal.
which is just absolutely insane. Yeah, it's very abnormal.
Mhm.
And it basically means every person that listens to it on an average listens to it basically like 10 times
Yeah, I've listened to that song at least
a
10
month.
times.
Yeah.
Not 10 times a month though.
Yeah. 10 times a month. That's crazy, but awesome.
Yeah.
You're abnormal. Thanks for being abnormal up in here, August. We need some more of that. Yeah, he's got an awesome voice. Yeah, I really have to say I appreciate his energy and his attitude and his like just
Mhm.
going for it.
Yes.
That's so big.
There
Yeah,
was a
he did a
lot.
great job.
I will divulge some information. There was quite a bit of correction that I had to do in there.
Of
But
course.
that was mainly because I mean he's a newer vocalist, he's only in high school, and like so it's like,
Mhm.
and he's inexperienced, and but the thing that I told him when we were recording, and I tell this to anybody who's singing, for a production, I'm just like, dude, I can fix pitch, I can fix timing, to some degree. I can fix, whether you're too close or too far away from the mic. I can, a lot of that stuff I can fix, but
Mhm.
I cannot replace your energy. And so what I want from you is your soul.
Yeah. What I want from you is your soul. Sell it to
I,
me. No.
all I want is your soul.
Nom 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 nom. That's great. No, that's absolutely true. I think one other thing that you can't fix is, well, one thing for sure you cannot fix is enunciation. And
Right.
so that's another important thing.
Yeah.
And I think
That's.
anybody who's looking to get into vocals, to be a singer or even just to voice act or even just be a VTuber or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
enunciation, work on how you sound when you speak, how your syllables sound, how your vowels sound. You have to
Mm-hmm.
work on it
Mm-hmm.
because like that is super important.
Well, and that's what we were working on
It's
today. I
can't fix.
had I had time. I had parenting time today, and
Oh,
my younger son was sick, so he didn't come over.
oh,
But my older
it's a
son,
bummer.
we were on our way there, and we are like, well, I'm like, okay, we've got this song that's coming out. It's another FNAF song that's gonna be fun. And it pretty much rocks. Like I will say that,
Mm,
like it's
that's
rock.
great.
it's cool. But anyways, so like we're talking on the way to my house, and I'm like, okay, so if you want, what we can do is I've sung to these, I've sung along with this song because, I was going to have some supporting vocals in there too. And I'm like, okay, so if you want, and the verses, we can just have me do the lead vocals and, whatever. And he's like, well, can I do it? And I'm like, well, yeah, but if we're going to do that, you have to record it today. And he's like, well, can we do it like next time I come? And I'm like, no, because, I want to submit this in like less than a week. I want it to be gone.
Yeah, the FNAF phenomenon going on right now is going to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, things do not last in the world we are in anymore because there's so much overabundance of information and
Right.
entertainment. Like
Right.
literally, like 15 years ago, you could put out a movie and it would be relevant for half a year. Now you
Mm-hmm.
put out a movie, it's relevant for about a week.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got probably a month. It's in
Yeah,
the theaters
yeah.
for about a month, and the hype is
Hmm.
going. Like Barbie Girl stuck around for a while. Like the hype around that was a pretty big
Yeah.
one. And
Hmm.
so Barbie Girl. I always call the song
That's true.
name, but that's because that's where the idea came for a lot of the strategy that like that I kind of latched onto with finding these trends and like
Sure.
riding them. Is like I watched this guy, this no name dude who had nothing on Spotify yet, just explode because his first release was this crazy like metal attempt at the Barbie Girl song from Aqua, and he released it at the time of the movie, and he just exploded. And I was like, holy cow, man, like there's something here that can be capitalized on because I watched it before my eyes. Now, it is flash in the pan because I just checked that guy out yesterday. I looked at his Spotify and he's dwindled back down to, like, I don't know. He had tens of thousands of listeners at the time. Now he's down to like 8,000. And, his next song that he released in September has streamed like, I don't know, like 1,024 times or something like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's pretty wild. Like when you find something where people are looking and you just like put something out in that niche, you have a lot better chances of catching people's attention just randomly because they're
Hmm.
already looking for stuff and the algorithms play in your favor, and like it's pretty cool. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say the upside of, well, technically it's a downside and an upside. Like, yeah, sure, you only have like a month to capitalize on something,
Mhm.
on a trend,
Mhm.
and it's gone. But the upside is there are more trends to jump on. And if that one's over, you can go to the next one. And then also the other upside is um even if wait. Um I forgot what I was gonna say. Totally lost it. Anyways, there was another upside, but I don't remember what it was now.
But cats, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Like with platforms like TikTok, it's such an oversaturation of trends, they
Mm.
die so quick. They do. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of flash in the pan type of thing. And so like
Oh,
so you
that was the
have
other
to
upside.
keep something consistently happening,
Hmm.
and finding the
Yeah.
next one and latching onto it quickly, and it just puts things into quick turnaround mode as quick
Oh
as
yeah.
possible anyway.
One of the other upsides to the way it is now is that even though there's like an oversaturation, the amount of views you get like if the amount of views you get in a month are probably equal to what you could get in a year 15 years ago, right?
Mm.
So like
Mhm.
15 years ago, it's like, yeah, the trend lasted for like ever,
Mhm.
but you only got the same amount of views that you could get in a month now if you jumped
Mhm.
on that trend, you know?
Mhm.
So even if trends don't last as long, they sure get huge, like boom, just explode for a second, because there's so
Mhm.
many more people listening and checking it all out.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of okay.
Yep. And there's a lot more to do. Like right now, I'm just trying to get my feet under me as far as producing this stuff. And it's like, man, and
Mhm.
I got more people I want to collaborate with, and I got like it's crazy, like all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, then I got this over here to do, and I got this over here to do, and I'm getting messages from people, hey, I want to collaborate with you, and I'm like, yes, I want to collaborate with you too. It's probably going to be a month or 2 or maybe 6 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
That's so relatable.
yeah, it's fun, but yeah, it's
I wish
busy.
I
It's
wish, because
awesome.
there's like a lot of people that want to collaborate, and it's like I wish I could just tell everybody yes, but I realize the reality is that that's not possible because I only have a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish I could pause time and just work, and probably play and just enjoy myself and do lots of stuff, and then re unpause time and just let it go, and be like, I got all this stuff done, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't do that.
Yep.
Unfortunately. One of these
Yes.
days. That if I could have one superpower, that would be it right there.
Which one?
Like the okay, it's actually okay, this is probably the best superpower in the world to stop time but be able to continue moving yourself. And like the stuff that you want to move will move, and
Mm.
the stuff that you don't want to move won't move.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you could stop the sun and everything like that, and you could just work on your computer. Your computer will work, the internet might work, but it's just like, you know, nothing else works and freezes for everybody else. That'd be great because that beats teleportation because you can just literally walk there.
Mm-hmm.
If the time is stopped, what's it matter?
Mm-hmm.
You can get there and then just be there when whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
superpowers. That'd be a good superpower.
Superpowers would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Clone myself, man, that's another one. Yeah, just clone myself 15 times. That'd be a ruckus. That would not be good.
Phew.
That would not be good. I don't think that would be good. I don't want a bunch of clones of me running around.
I don't want a bunch of clones of me either. The world is not ready for that.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think we should be cloning anybody. I don't think that the world's ready for any of that. I don't want to know what happens, but I'm happy with one of me.
there
Yeah.
there are people that I would like to clone,
Okay.
but not me.
Fair enough.
And the world
Yeah.
doesn't want that
So
either.
the world doesn't want you clone those other people. Just you. Cal, are you ready for your topic? Is that all right if we jump into it now? Let us know if you're good and set.
And oh, and by the way, cats, thank you. My son will love to hear that you said he has an awesome voice. I think
Mm.
honestly, you have an awesome voice. I really enjoyed listening to you while I was producing that song. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You did such a great
Mm-hmm.
job.
Agreed. Yeah.
Tee hee.
Oh my gosh, every time I talk, my voice sounds like I smoked for 20 years. Is this a recent
Hey,
development or
that's
is this
got
how
some
it's
appeal
always
to it,
been?
though, man. Like you can totally do it. Oh, damn.
Smoker's voice is not bad. It is an
Mm,
interesting voice.
it's
You're
got some
having a
grit to
cold.
it.
Okay.
Mm. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's worse. That's much worse.
Yeah.
Well, that's yeah, when I get a cold and it affects me that way, my voice goes like 14 octaves lower and it's just like, whoa, that sounds so cool. I wish I could always talk like this. Ready? No. Present? Yes. Okay. Well, let me know if it's all right to do yours, even if you're not emotionally prepared, mentally prepared. Um, I had to stay home from choir. Don't want to get anyone else sick. That's wise. Yeah. No, thank you. I think that's good.
Well, you can hang out with us. We don't mind getting sick.
Yeah.
I'm already sick.
Yeah. What are you sick with?
I don't know. Sickness.
Are you down with the sickness?
I'm down with the sickness, and I'm gonna eat some chocolate. Medicine.
Hmm.
Are we gonna do Kel's topic?
I don't know. I don't know if Kel's ready. Kel said he wasn't ready, but he was present. So I was like,
Oh,
I don't know if
oh,
you meant.
said yeah.
Yeah,
Go
go.
for it.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Sorry, I just wanted to confirm that we were good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Sorry
right. Let
about
me
that.
get it up on the screen here.
Yep.
I can totally do that, and then we can read it.
Stand for the national anthem. We have so many different nationalities here. Is there a
Jose
grand national? Is there a
Canseco.
multinational anthem? All right, let me know when you got that topic on the screen.
Oh, it's there.
Awesome.
Like
All right,
boss.
well, going to a more somber tone here. This is from Kel. It's titled Dealing with Death, and it reads as follows. Recently, I lost a client and very dear friend. The whole ordeal has been a shock and a process. My question is this: how do you honor someone when you haven't received the closure of getting to say goodbye? I put her on my ofrenda for Dia de Muertos, and I have extended the offer to help in any way I can to her family. But everything I do seems to be punctuated by this acidic feeling of loss and guilt. I'm not sure if you have the answers for this, or if the solution is just time, but I would appreciate your incredible insight. From Cal.
Mm.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, that's, I mean, absolutely rough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think, you know, to some degree, how to deal with this, I think to some degree you are partially right in that, time, time does help. Um, but I think there are other things we might have to offer that could be of assistance, at least, um, sort of mentally working through it. Um, but one thing's for sure, nothing we say is ever going to replace the value inherent in the person which is lost. Nothing we say will ever hold up to getting to the true depths of that person, or being able to heal it. Heal that which is missing. Nothing we can say can replace or add to what's missing now, right? But um, we can give it our best. We can give it our best. Um, Again, I suppose not that it's a big deal, but we aren't professional psychiatrists or therapists or psychologists or anything like that. But that doesn't mean that even psychologists and therapists know how to just solve this. This is a thing that's been around for, since life began, death,
Mm-hmm.
and having the problem of, just I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with the loss of a loved one, or even just a close friend. I guess that's love. That's a form of love. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how do you deal with the loss of a loved one? And no one has the answer, which just makes you go, oh yeah, okay, healed, we're all good. I don't think that exists, and I don't think that exists because it's not meant to.
Mm.
I think sorrow is important here. I think feeling empty is important here. So keep that in mind. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to shoo it away or just try to get over it as fast as possible. Um, Obviously, you do want to do your best to not punish yourself. Like you said, this punctuated acidic feeling of loss and guilt. Um, yeah, I don't think guilt should be a part of the equation. That could be one thing that could be solved, maybe, that we could talk about. But the other half of that, the acidic feeling of loss, I don't think is something that we can. Um, well, we can do our best. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So, anyways, feelings gross. Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Right? Okay. So, I'm gonna do the best thing I can, and that is to kind of step away and give it over to Joe. Joe's been through family loss, or friends loss of friends, and so on. And he's got a lot more, probably better things to say right off the bat than I do. So I'm gonna give it over to him.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's. I'm so sorry, Kel. First of all, let me just tell
Mm,
you, it is hard when you lose somebody. And I don't know. I mean, um, losing somebody to death in my experience, it's easier than losing somebody and them still being alive. That to me is harder in a lot of cases. And maybe that's just because of a weird wiring that I have. Maybe it's because, I'm not afraid of death. I kind of look forward to it cuz I look at it like graduation and I'm like, "Hey, like
Mm.
and so it's so crazy because I don't know, like God he built me for a reason the way he built me, right? And so I'll go to a funeral of a family member or a friend or whatever, and I won't be crying. I'll kind of be the one that's there just to listen to others and to just be there for them. And maybe that's part of the reason why. Maybe the reason why death as it is doesn't doesn't knock me off balance so much is because I'm supposed to be there to just listen to others and to be, you know, solid, I guess, and not losing it, maybe because it's totally appropriate to feel the loss. And I would look around when I was younger, when I'd go to a funeral, and everybody's crying and everybody's having really hard times, and it's especially hard when it's an untimely death, like if it's somebody that's older and they've been sick for a while and they finally pass on, and you're kind of thankful because they're not suffering anymore. Or if somebody's been sick for a while, like I remember I had a friend who when he was just about to graduate high school, they found a tumor the size of a baseball on his spine,
Whoa.
and it was
Whoa.
crazy. And we did a benefit concert. Like I was in a band that was gigging quite a bit. We did a benefit concert for him and his family. There was a whole bunch of stuff. But he was sick, and he was, we'd hang out with him, and he was generally in pretty good spirits, the whole time, even though you could tell he was hurting and he was in pain and he was not feeling good and he was dealing with all this stuff, right? But then when he finally passed, there was a sense of loss, but there was also a bit of a sense of relief because you knew that he wasn't in pain anymore. You knew that he wasn't hurting, and it's a mixed bag. And losing somebody to death, it does bring with it that mixed bag of emotions. It's just kind of a whirlwind, and sometimes you just got to strap in and just allow yourself to go for the ride. Because like Ryan was saying, these emotions they're beneficial to us. They're useful for us. It's helpful for us to experience these emotions, to actually allow ourselves to feel these emotions. And that can be really hard. Because inside, when something hurts, we want to fight it. We're like, I don't want to hurt, and so I want to fight this, like this pain that I'm dealing with, right? But one of the best things, like I'll just try and tell myself, you know what? I can't change the fact that I'm feeling this way. I just have to allow it. I have to allow myself to hurt. And as I said, this happens more to me when I lose a friend that is still alive, and that's a bit more painful than when I lose somebody to death, because I'm just like, hey, you know what? Maybe it's because we don't really have a choice on whether or not we die usually, but we have a choice on whether or not we're going to be somebody's friend. And so maybe that's why that one's a little bit more stinging to me. But at any rate, Cal, it's totally normal for you to feel loss. It's totally normal for you to feel guilt. And I can remember when my cousin died. I had a cousin who had Down syndrome, and she lived until she was in her mid-20s. And my aunt, I remember the day of my cousin's funeral, my aunt, her mom, would there were moments where she was like, I could have done better as a mom. I could have done a better job, and all this kind of stuff. And so there's this sense of guilt in terms of like, I could have done more. I should have done more. Maybe, I could have reached out more. I could have. You talked about having the closure of saying goodbye. Those moments, sometimes we don't get that luxury. And it's okay. And it's normal. It's okay for you to feel pain. I'm sorry that you feel pain, but it's normal. And I think you're right that sometimes time is the healer in these cases. Sometimes what we need to do is allow time to pass and allow ourselves to hurt and allow ourselves to go through the roller coaster emotions. And one of the things that you can rest assured on is that emotions are like the weather. They come and go. So you're going to get hit with waves of sadness. You're going to get hit with waves of grief. You're going to get hit with waves of guilt and that feeling of loss. And those are going to come in waves, and then they'll subside and things will be okay for a while. And then maybe something will trigger another one and it'll come back. That's okay. It's normal. But what you can tell yourself in those moments when you're experiencing that pain, one of the things that my therapist helped me to understand was that this feeling is going to pass. I will not be living with this pain forever. I will not be living in this level of hurt forever. Right now, I need to lay down and I need to cry. And that's totally okay. I've spent a lot of days where I've just kind of retreated and I've had to lay down and cry. And because of one thing or another, a sense of loss, a sense of pain, a sense of, like despair, all this kind of stuff that can wash over us. And it's okay to feel that. One of the things that helped me was to journal. Also, my therapist helped me out a lot. Yes, Cal, I understand. It definitely feels very endless. Absolutely. And when you're in the thick of it, when you're in that dark spot, it can feel like it's never going to end. Because sometimes it just feels like it's getting worse. You live in it and like it feels like an hour passes, but it's only 2 minutes. Because when we're in that level of discomfort, it seems like time slows down, But a few things that I know that have helped me are allowing myself the grace to retreat and to lay down and to just cry, to allow myself to feel those emotions. And sometimes they're debilitating. Sometimes it's so painful that you can't do anything. And I would hear people all the time, well, you just got to get up and do something. You got to get up and do something and do like whatever. And maybe they're right. But sometimes like physically, I could not get up and do anything. I had to just lay there and cry. And then one of the things that helped was sleeping, because when I'm asleep, I'm not conscious. And so the time passes with me not being conscious.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in this type of pain, it's okay to sleep. It's okay to take naps. It's okay to retreat and just lay back. When I was going through a lot of struggle and I was still doing my inspections job and I was on the road all the time, I would just every few hours as things were getting really, really bad, because everything was kind of hitting the fan with me psychologically towards the end of my career as a property inspector. And so those days, even though I was on the road all day in my car, I would just like find a park and ride or find a parking lot somewhere like a McDonald's or gas station with an extra parking lot or a store or something. And I just park my car off in the back in a corner and I'd tip my seat back and I would just like put a hat over my eyes or something. And I'd just close my eyes and I would rest. Even if I wasn't asleep, I would just rest. And that's okay. You can allow yourself time to grieve. Allow yourself time to cry. Allow yourself time to let these emotions wash over you, because they need to happen. And it's part of our human experience. And man, I used to hate it. I used to hate those feelings. I used to hate that pain. And sometimes I still do, because it's uncomfortable. But what I'm realizing is that it's part of the rich experience that we have in this existence. It is a rich, rich existence, with experiences, with people, with happy moments, with joyful moments, with exciting times, with painful times, with anger. All of those things is very, very rich, and everything has its place. And so allow it. It's definitely okay. So I don't know. I think, that's kind of what I have. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. You guys probably can't take me seriously in this hat anyway.
I forgot about the hat.
But I'm going to turn it
Because you
over to
get deep
Ryan.
into it, I'm just like my vision completely forgets about the hat. The hat.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
great.
All right, cool. It's nice. It keeps my head nice and warm, so I'm going to keep it on.
I bet.
But yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's getting cold over there. It's getting hot over here. It's
it
great.
is. It's turning into
Hmm.
winter. It's great. I love it.
Hmm.
But anyway, yep, I'm turning it
That's
over to
funny with that.
Ryan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. It's beautiful hair, isn't it? I'm going to have her make more of these in
Hmm.
different colors, and I'm going to wear them.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Man, you will become like, just because it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like an icon.
Yeah.
It'll be like, this people know you by eventually. They won't recognize you without that weird. Yeah.
I'll change it up for next time I'm on camera, so it'll look different.
7 days. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you'll really not take me seriously.
Yeah. You're just like, I can't focus except for I can't. What is going on? Oh my
All right.
gosh.
But anyway, Ryan, take it away.
Will do. Yeah. So getting back into it. So yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. Joe kind of mentioned a bit of it. Um, but I'm gonna focus on a couple of things here. First, I want to focus on guilt. You have this guilt of not being able to say goodbye. Maybe the guilt is not spending as much time as you wanted with the person. Um, and that's okay. But I think that's an important thing to work through. Here's why. What is the purpose of guilt? Because guilt has a purpose. Guilt is an emotion, it's a feeling, just like anger or sadness or happiness, right? And these emotions tell us something about the experience we had and the way that, and what we should be doing about it, right? But guilt by itself, just like anger by itself, is not valuable. You have to make it valuable. So if you feel angry, you can use your anger to accomplish good things. It can push you into fight mode, right? Where you're fighting for a good cause or something, right? And as long as you have full control over your being and don't let anger become rage, um, you know, anger can be very useful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Same
Yes.
thing with guilt. Guilt is a tool. Guilt is feedback, but it is an emotion much like anger, which compels you to stop and think or compels you to take action, etc. It's an unsettling feeling. It's a feeling of negativity, but it by itself is not doing anything for you, right? So my point is, you don't want to just sit with your guilt and be like, okay, this guilt is good. I'm just gonna let it sit here, because guilt is also, as I've said before, you know, guilt is the devil's playground if you let it be. Because if you let guilt just sit there, you will tear yourself apart for
Mm-hmm.
no good reason,
Mm-hmm.
because you mishandled guilt, just like you can mishandle anger, right? You can mishandle anger and you will tear yourself apart. So the reason I want to talk about this, and I've talked about it before on Don't Worry Wednesday, but I feel like it's worth talking about it again, because it's not something people talk about. I mean, I've never heard anybody talk about guilt in public space, really. I've never heard anyone teach on guilt, but it's an important thing to do. So this is what I want to say about this. First, before we get into the purpose of guilt, why are you guilty? You said you feel guilt because you didn't get to say goodbye, or you feel guilt because you didn't get to spend time with them, as I think it was Kwai said something like that, or a sister, someone, anyway, someone in the comments said that they felt guilty for not being able to spend enough time with the person, and I was like, yeah, that's very very common. Yeah, I was Kwai. Okay, I got it right. Um, and yeah, you have a very complicated relationship with guilt because of Catholic high school. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so here's the thing. You feel bad because you weren't able to say goodbye. Or you might feel bad because you weren't able to spend time with them or do enough for them or feel like you were there for them in their moment of need. Whatever it is, right? I'm gonna say something and it's kind of rough, but it's to push another point. So here's what I'm gonna say. Nothing you can do in life for another person can even come close to giving them their due of respect, of giving them their due of honor, of giving them their due of praise, of giving them their due of value. Nothing you can do in life is valuable enough to match the value of that other person, right? It's a it's hard. It's like, for me, I look at certain people, it's kind of like all people. I look at all people and say, that person is so valuable. I would have to spend the rest of my life with them to give them what they actually deserve, is not the right word, but to give them a respectable amount of good
Mm-hmm.
from me to them, right? It's like, I wish I could spend my entire life with that one person, and my entire life with that one person, and my entire life with that one person. It's not possible. And it's not like I want to do that because that would be fun for me. My point is, I would want to do that because that's how valuable they are. So if that's the truth, then feeling guilty over not being able to spend enough time with someone is an appropriate feeling, except for you don't need to feel guilty, because you're being charged, you're charging yourself, right? When you feel guilty, you're essentially accusing yourself of something, right? But it's a false charge. Like, you can't rightly accuse yourself of not giving the other person enough, because you can never give anybody enough. Right. And you can't control, and exactly. And you have no control over whether you got to say goodbye or not. It just happened. So what are you accusing yourself of? What are you guilty of? It's an important question to ask because sometimes your guilt is mischarged, misaccused, right? You've allowed yourself to be accused by your conscience or by the devil or by whatever, right? For one thing or another, you have been accused, possibly wrongly. And you don't want to sit there in that guilt, continuing to go, yeah, I've done this to myself. Yeah, I'm a bad guy here. What do I do about it? I could have been better. What do I do? It's like you can't do anything about it because it's not right to accuse you in the first place. So you can't do anything to justify it. So the problem with this guilt is that you can never justify it, but your soul wants to, right? You're like, I feel guilty. The only way to solve it is to justify it, but it's unjustifiable because the charge is not correct, right? So you can't solve something that isn't your responsibility in the first place. So let's just put that out there. So if you feel guilty, recognize that's normal. Just as Joe said, that is a normal experience to feel guilty when someone's passed or someone,
Mm-hmm.
or like Joe was talking about, if someone just disappears off the face of the world because they blocked you, right? But they're still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and that feels terrible, and you feel a sense of guilt there, but it's
Mm-hmm.
wrongly accused. You're allowing yourself to be accused of something you can't have control over.
Mm.
And so it's normal. It's normal in the sense that a lot of people suffer from this. But don't don't let it conquer you. Don't let it do that to you. The second thing is that I wanted to say was on the purpose of guilt. What is guilt's purpose? The the most purposeful use of guilt is to cause it to push you forward. It's to make you a better person, right? Guilt is what you feel when you realize you are not a good person.
Mm.
Its point is to push you in the direction of being a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you feel guilt, the right response is, all right, let's plan out, let's do something, let's think about it. Let us, whatever it is, decide to do better. Let's do better. If you don't do that, the guilt will eat you alive. Because if you don't decide you're going to be a better person from your guilt, what you end up doing is you go, I'm a guilty person, and you just flog yourself and hurt yourself more, right?
Mm.
You're like, you're like, it's like, I know this may not be relatable to everybody, but Kelly, you went to a Catholic school, so maybe you'll get this. It's like if you went to do penance, but you weren't your penance. The whole point of your penance wasn't to actually forgive you of your sins or help you become a better person. The point of the penance was just to feel suffering because you caused other people suffering. Let's say you do that. Let's say you suffer because, like, okay, it's like, I cause suffering to other people. I'm a bad person. I feel guilt. So now I'm going to go suffer on my own
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only way I can justify this is hurt myself more. And that's why a lot of people get into cutting.
Mm.
Obviously, there's other reasons too, like people get into cutting because they can't feel any other emotions, so they're
Mm.
looking for all sorts of different things. But
Mm-hmm.
like punishing yourself to justify the wrongs you did for other people against other people is never satisfactory, and it's only going to leave you with continued guilt, causing you to continuously punish yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to be over and over and over and over and over and over for the rest of your life. And you're never going to break free from that because punishing yourself is never an adequate way to justify you hurting other people. The point of guilt is so you stop hurting other people or stop doing bad things, right? So, yeah, I think my point has been made. So I just wanted to make that point really clear because I don't want you to feel guilty for this person, or I don't want you to feel guilty about yourself for not having said goodbye to this person. Because if you take guilt and you don't do anything with it, and you think, oh, I'm feeling guilty, I must be punished, then you're going down a road that's endless and it's a self destructive path and it sucks. Um, so I don't want you going down that road. That's all. That's all. That's all. I think if you do feel guilty, if you find a reason that's a rightly accused guilt, then yeah, ask yourself, what can I do about this in the future to to better celebrate other people's lives before they pass?
Mm.
To make sure I don't do something like horrible to another person and then have them die on me,
Mm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. That's fair. That's fair. You know, and that guilt, if someone in this, listening has the guilt of doing something horrible to a person and then they pass, you never got to say sorry or something, right? Like, yeah, that sucks. And that's kind of rightly accused. But it's okay that it's rightly accused because now you can move forward in life with treating other people better
Mm-hmm.
because now you have a really traumatic experience that leads you to being hopefully that traumatically much better. you
Mm-hmm.
know um I've seen, I definitely have heard stories of people who have done bad things to people who passed and they never got to say sorry, and then for the rest of their life they're just like so kind and giving and generous with their time and like just really loving on people, and they wouldn't be that awesome of people if it wasn't for guilt, right? And so guilt is a great and powerful tool. It's an incredible emotion, but you got to use it smart. You got to use it wisely. So, Cal, in your case, I don't think it's right to accuse you to feel guilt in this case, but I don't know the full story. So if there is something there, that's fine. You don't have to share it. But if there is something there, use it use it for the betterment of your life. Because the way you pay back the wrongs you did is not by doing more wrong,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
especially not doing more wrong to yourself. Like that's not helping anything. That's just hurting other people around you more because you're not in a good state to be good. You're just hurting yourself all the time, right? So, like, the best thing you can do to repay your debts is to give and give with love, right? Because what were you? Unloving. And then what do you want to be to repay your debts? Well, what you owe is love. So be loving, right? Again, Cal, I don't know if this is applicable, but just as a just as a lesson of life, I guess. Um, but not just to you, to everybody, including myself, right? So I'm done with that part. I just really want to talk about the guilt part, um, because I feel like that's where I can maybe help the most. On the other note, for how do you honor someone um, when you haven't received closure? Um, I think you're already doing it. You know, it's like nothing you can do can truly honor a person. I think it's important that we know that because that's why we're here. Like that feeling of emptiness in your heart is a small example of the value of that person, right? The lack of that person costs us something because there is a huge, vast, infinite space of value which is now empty. It's void. It's like a it's like the pressure, you
Mm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you remove all the gas from, a chamber, there's an intense amount of pressure, and it's the same thing when you have someone with like incredible value and they're gone. There is an emptiness. that value used to live. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why you feel the way you feel. Now, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to feel like that way with everybody. You're not going to feel the same way with everybody. You know, just as you said, Kel, you've had people die in your life that were sick, and it felt completely different. Because in a way, you're like, well, I'm glad they're gone. They don't have to suffer anymore. Like, yeah, I experienced that with myself, with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, not everyone's going to feel the same. It doesn't mean they're not worth the same. But my point is, there is a reality to the feeling of emptiness. The feeling of emptiness points to a reality, which is the value of a person. And we have to recognize that first. If we want to honor them, I think we have to recognize their value first. And I don't mean, oh, what did they do in their life that was valuable? What was their personality like that was valuable? I don't mean that. I mean something more, yet something less. Literally just their existence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think first thing you can do is think about that. And the second thing you can do is live like that. And another thing you can do is spend time with the people that they were close to. And you kind of already said that you've offered yourself up for that. Because there's a void now where that person used to exist in other people's lives. And if you have the power, if you have the time to fill just the I mean, you cannot replace them, obviously. They had their own relationship with all these people, but if you can at least fill one little tiny piece of that, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just live in their shoes for like a couple of moments, I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But don't ever expect to truly, fully honor and live up to someone else's life. That's not something anyone can do. Because we're all so different.
Mm.
And we're all like, it's like everybody has their own relationships with other people, and it's its own existence. It's its own being, so to speak, a relationship, right? And so you cannot replace that. You cannot feel that. There's nothing you can do
Mm-hmm.
for that. Everyone has their own history, their own background, their own memories, their own joys, their own displeasures, their own everything, right? And so you can't fill that void. But you can recognize its value
Mm-hmm.
and you can act accordingly. And I think that's the best you can do. Yeah, that's what I got. Joe, you have anything you want to add?
I think just what do you do with this? There are a few things you can do. Obviously, we've talked about some of this stuff. Ryan unpacked a lot about, like how to manage your guilt, how to think about your guilt, how to, the proper perspective on all this stuff, because that's very, very helpful in order to set our mind right so we don't punish ourselves, so we don't beat ourselves up, so we don't just do things to be hurtful to ourselves because we feel like we deserve it or whatever, right? Like, it's very helpful. He mentioned penance before, and penance is not to punish you. A penance is there to do something productive to bring you closer to God and other people, right? God being the creator of everything. Like that's the point of the penance. The penance isn't there for you to suffer. You're already suffering enough. And that's
and
like
penance doesn't
usually
even
your
have to
guilt.
be. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I was just going to add, penance doesn't even have to be any bit of a type of suffering.
Right.
I was just using that as an example in case you knew what penance was, but it's exactly as Joe's saying. Yeah. Thanks for describing it, because I totally failed to do that.
Yeah. Well, restorative justice, maybe sometimes restorative justice. Like if you steal something, you should restore it to somebody, or whatever, right? But like it's more in terms of, okay, restorative in the sense of the relationship, right?
Mm.
So there's no reason for you to punish yourself, even though, yes, guilt can be there. And sometimes it's unfounded, sometimes it's legit, whatever. But we still feel it either way, right? So
Mm-hmm.
things you can do while you're going through this process, because, yeah, it's going to take time and it's going to come in waves, and then the waves will be bigger at first, and they'll last longer. And then they'll get smaller and be shorter and smaller and shorter and smaller and shorter. And then enough time passes, and what you'll recognize is, you know what? I woke up this morning and the first thought on my head wasn't this situation or this person.
Mm.
Because you can go a long time, and that's like the first thought when you wake up, and it just hurts. And like your whole day starts like that. And then some morning you'll wake up and it'll be like, oh, they weren't the first thought on my mind. This whole situation wasn't the first thing that popped into my head and just like made me feel horrible. And things start to lessen and lessen, and the time gets shorter and shorter. Now, you don't always necessarily say goodbye to those feelings completely, because every once in a while they can creep in and you'll have memories, right? But they don't last as long, and you have a history of perspective since the event to help you think about it more properly, right? You have more XP. And I'll tell you, when we lose somebody, it's a massive amount of XP that comes into your life. It's painful, for sure. But then, as we learn to deal with that, we have the potential to grow a lot from these situations. Oh, good night, Kendra. But Cal. Okay. Cal says, I think about it literally all the time. Tomorrow will be 1 week, so I know it's justified, but I just hate feeling this way. I'm used to being
Mm-hmm.
able to ignore bad feelings. And yeah, Cal, I know it might take a while, and it can creep in, and it can totally take up all of our time. A few of the things that I've learned that have helped are sometimes a distraction of entertainment. I'll watch a movie. Sometimes playing a video game. Sometimes that doesn't do anything. Because sometimes playing a video game is like, well, this is the game I used to play with this person, and now they're gone, and now it reminds me of them, and so now, like, we're at whatever,
Ouch.
right? Or, like when I was going through my divorce, like I couldn't watch a movie with any romance in it at all. Like I had to watch movies where people were just getting killed. Right? Like
That's great.
anytime some romance scene would come in, I'd be like, fast forward. I don't want to see any of that stuff. Now I can actually stomach seeing a romance scene in a movie, and it's fine, whatever. Some of them go way too far and way over the top, right? But whatever. Either way, yes, Cal, you've been making yourself busy on purpose so you can be distracted. Yep, you can get busy doing something. Absolutely. That passes the time as well. The thing about it is, we have to pass the time somehow, because time is definitely a requirement in this situation. And I got a fuzzy from my hair.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
ew,
funny.
romance. Thank you, Sister Frisk. um, but you can make yourself busy. You can do these things, right? You can read. Sometimes reading something helpful, like you can find self-help stuff. You can find something that's spiritually enlightening. You can find other things that, kind of help you gain more perspective, right? I recommended this book last week. It was What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, and I just picked it up again over this past week, and I started reading it again because I was like, you know what, I haven't read that in a while, and I definitely have some self-talk issues, so I need to like read that again. So I started reading that, and these are things that you can do to help you pass the time, and they help to build you and build your perspective. Another thing that I've found to be really, 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 really helpful is spending time with other friends, reaching out and talking with other friends, right? When you lose a friend, whether it's through death or through them walking away or whatever, to share time with people who love you. You don't have to talk about the situation. You don't have to talk about the issue. You don't have to go through and like have some big, like grieving session or anything like that. But it's just a matter of switching your scene and spending some time with other people, maybe people that don't even know that person at all, didn't know the situation or anything, but they're there because they love you and they care about you, and you love them and care about them, and like you can feed off of that energy, and it can really, really be helpful. And so spending time with friends, reading, watching a movie, making yourself busy, exercising, whatever, you could pick up a new hobby. There's all kinds of stuff, right? All kinds of things you can do. And sometimes I can remember, man, I got really good at the guitar. I was already decent at it, but I got so much better at the guitar after I broke up with my first girlfriend. Because that's just what I did. After that, after we broke up, I didn't have any other options. I had some friends, I had some bandmates, and I just like threw myself into playing guitar. And I would cry while I did it. I would sit there by myself and I would cry and I would play guitar. And I got a lot better at the guitar over that time period. I do the same thing with other musical instruments. When I was going through my divorce, I learned how to play the bass. Right? And now I play it decently well. Not too bad. But these are things that you can do in order to help you pass the time. And these, so find things that you love doing and do them. Find people that you love spending time with and spend time with them. The more we can surround ourselves with things and people that we love and really feel that love, that can act as a balm on the painful, the pain that we're feeling from the loss. And it reminds us how important love is to our existence. And when I talk about love, I'm not talking about romantic love. That's just one part of love. But I'm talking about love, like as in the all-encompassing, like goodwill feeling, that good nature feeling that, I love this person. I love this thing that I'm doing, and it just makes you feel alive. So if you can spend time doing those things, that will help the time pass a lot more. And it's okay to cry when you do it. It's okay to feel sad when you do it. So I've told my kids, they're like, I'm upset. They'll be like, I'm upset. And I'm like, well, you can still cry and mow the lawn. Not really mow the lawn, but like some, or whatever, we can, it's okay to feel sad while we're doing stuff. It's okay. It's also okay to take a break if you need to. But one of the things that I've found is if I have to limit myself on the time that I'm laying there doing nothing and crying. A lot of times if I'm doing that, what I'm starting to realize is I need a bit of a reset, and so I'll take a nap. Because I need to kind of reset my mind and my emotions a little bit, and sleep does a great job for me in that regard. So like if I'm feeling overly emotional about something and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to lay here and I'm going to cry. Well, if that's going to happen, well, I'm going to put on some soothing music and I'm going to fall asleep. And I'm going to set a timer for like a half an hour and I'm going to get up in a half an hour. Excuse me. And that reset helps me. Then when I get up, it's like, okay, now I have kind of a fresh thought, because every time I wake up, it's like something new. And so those are some things that can help you as you're going through this. So anyway, that's what I have. Looks like there's been some great stuff in the chat. Gonna cry, might as well make French onion soup.
Yeah, I love that. Sounds great.
And French onion soup is kind of like that first word that you put in there. Not a big fan of
like
French onion soup. No.
Oh man, it's awesome. It's one of my favorites.
No, you can have it. You can have all the French onion soup
Surprised
you
you
want.
don't like it. I thought you liked beef broth.
I do, but it's onions that aren't breaded and fried.
Fair enough.
Welcome to being alive again, cats.
Crunch.
Onions.
Yeah. Well, Kel, I don't think I have much else, personally. And I hope that something we've said has been helpful. Joe's saying it's okay to cry, it's okay to just sit there and take it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in life, you got to just sit there and take it,
Mm-hmm.
whether
sometimes
it be,
you just surrender to it, right?
yeah. And it could be anything. Obviously, it could just be like, some kid is acting out, and just like the best thing you can do right now is just take it and we'll deal with it later, whatever it is. Sometimes in life, you just got to endure. And when you get done enduring, as long as you don't crack, and I don't mean don't cry, I just mean as long as you don't act out of like, as long as you don't become worse from it, crack, that kind of crack. You find yourself with a greater capacity to love, a greater capacity to do good, a greater capacity to endure. And I think that that's important. And so, kind of like you said, Kel, we can kind of owe Joe's ex-girlfriends to his guitar skills, because if that didn't happen, he wouldn't have had the opportunity. He might not have had the not opportunity, but the inspiration. And that's true. A lot happens in life, and we can't just count something bad because it doesn't feel good. We don't know where this life might take us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
wait,
there's always some solace in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was last week's topic from you, Kel? Because I see in the chat you said this is the second week in a row you've spent an hour talking about me, and it's an interesting feeling.
That's great. Well, we're done with yours now, so if that's okay. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Hey,
great,
yeah. It was a big topic. It was good.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm putting you on camera.
Okay, next you're gonna be a part of the show. You're just gonna hop on. You're gonna be in one of these people, and you're gonna be. Oh man. Nice. Dang good beard.
Switching.
Yeah.
Now you're really gonna take me seriously.
I like your hair. Your beard hair is like falling over the mic for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. That's great. Next week, gardening. Yeah, we're going to talk about that for an hour. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Cal, for this topic. And we are sorry for the loss and that family. I hope that all goes well there. Blessings to them. And thank you again. Thanks to everybody else who's helped out in the chat and just kind of given their perspectives and their experiences rather with this. Because yeah, death is a hard thing to go through. But We all must go through it. So here we are. Um, yes, Joe does look a little bit like a mind flayer.
I am a mind flayer. I will
Mind
flay
flayer.
your
Well, it's from
mind.
the whole Dungeons and Dragons world. Yeah. So Baldur's Gate
Ah,
as well.
yes.
That's great.
This is a very versatile piece of article of clothing, I've noticed.
Yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
quite capable of many different fashion statements.
Yep. I think the way it's supposed to be. Hold on.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and put it on correctly. And the Dread Pirate Beard scarf.
I think this is the original. This is the original design, right? So like it's a
Mm-hmm.
scarf, keeps your neck warm, and it's got these little tassels down here, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
just way more fun to do other stuff with it.
Yeah. It's just fun to mess around. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I expect a professional photo shoot, Joe.
It's like
That's
a
great.
3-in-1.
That's cute. Yeah.
It's a 4-in-1 because I did this one too. But then I have
Oh
like,
man. That's great. You're like
yeah,
a warrior, but kind of not. You're like a warrior from like the Wood Ages.
I can give myself a horn,
Oh
like a
wow.
unicorn.
Everybody watch out. Joe's coming.
I'm like a horny toad.
A warrior.
Ah!
Yeah, Jingle Bells did Fred. Xmas. Right.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna check out and see what other kind of topics we have here.
Yes.
Thanks for exploring the world of fashion with us for a brief moment, everyone.
All right. Now my head's getting hot, so I'm taking it off for now. It's not quite winter
Fair
here.
enough.
Now you get normal Joe again.
Yeah. Um. So let's see here. What do we have with us? Okay. Whoa.
Bless you.
Thank you. Um. Okay. Um. I think I'm sneezing.
When Ryan sneeze,
Ah,
bless you. You know when you sneeze,
thank
your
you.
heart stops beating for a second.
They said other things about sneezing, like you can't keep your eyes open, and if you do, your heart will explode. All lies. So I don't believe the heart thing for a second.
Okay. You don't have to believe it all you
Is
want.
there? I don't see why that would be true, and I don't see why people think it's true.
Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. I haven't ever
It could be
verified it.
true. Yeah, who's verified that claim?
I
That's what
haven't.
I like. Nope, I haven't. I
Hmm.
haven't met anyone who has. Looks like we got.
But you know what's
Okay,
cool about the
we
truth?
got. What's that?
The truth doesn't
That's true.
require you to believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
still
true.
true.
It can just be true regardless. Yeah, it's true. That is true. And I do believe that one. But even if I didn't, that'd be true.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like gravity doesn't need you to believe in it either, and it's still there.
Mhm. That's right. Man, gravity's scary too.
I love your
Okay.
mic shadow. It's so funny. Like it's like playing on your face.
Yeah, that's great. That's right where I want it. Okay. Well, we've got a couple that have just come in, but
Oh, okay.
they're not processed and they're all kind of scrambled. So how about we do this one? It's from October 18th,
Okay.
and it's titled "Cheering on Others versus Self."
Okay. We can do that.
Um, yeah, we'll give this one a shot. I
Uh
don't know who it's from, and it says that it. Okay, I don't know who it's from, so we're calling it anonymous, and it doesn't say that they wanted to be attending. Now, the issue with that is both of those functions were kind of broken when they submitted this. So, whoever submitted this, I hope that you are here if you wanted to be here.
apparently I can't I just pasted the last topic summary into this topic summary and I can't undo it.
Oh, I can fix it.
You can fix it?
Okay. Yeah, easy peasy. Hold on. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, hold on, hold on.
You sneezed with
Okay,
your
go ahead and
eyes
reload the page.
open?
Reload the page.
Reload.
Yeah, I sneeze with my eyes open. Yeah, that's see?
I don't know if I
I can be
sneeze with
fine.
my eyes open.
Did
Oh, there
anything
we
bad
go.
happen when you sneeze with your eyes open?
Your eyes pop out.
That's what people say, like your brain explodes. And I'm just like, I've done it. These are crazy.
All
People
right.
have eyes, right, Jo? What is
What?
that?
What are those? What are those?
What are those? Get them out of there. That's gross, man. Ew. Could you imagine the first, people talk about evolution. And it's like the first thing with eyeballs. And it's just like, dude, what is that? Get out of there. That's so gross. I don't know I'm just feeling around your face and you got something slimy on it. Get it off.
Oh,
That's why my head is massive. Yeah.
oh, that's great. Okay, we're all set now. I'm gonna put the topic on the screen for you.
Okay, perfect.
Here we go. Go.
All right. This is from Anonymous. It's titled Cheering on Others versus Self. And it reads as follows. I really love to support other people, but when it comes to myself, I look the other way. How can I cheer on myself like I do others?
Mm,
And that's that. Great
that's
question.
that. It is a very good
Hmm.
question because I
It's
struggle
a
with this
very good
too.
question.
I'm looking forward to
Joe is
hearing what.
currently reading a book, maybe a little bit about this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's got some information on it. That'd be great. My gosh, I really want to sneeze, I guess. Some kind of allergy happened.
Yeah, we're gonna get a close
Um,
up on Ryan for this sneeze face. Ready? Yes.
um, I just
Perfect.
sneezed. You couldn't tell. That
That
was
was a
me
sneeze,
doing the
huh?
weirdest sneeze you've ever seen. Yeah, it was a silent one, and one without any pressure. Okay. Um, yeah. No, this is a great topic. I appreciate this topic because it's right in line with so many topics. Um, that is self-talk, and how do you support yourself the way you support others?
I'm gonna put the hat back on for this one.
To some degree, we are definitely supposed to, and to some degree, it's okay to support others more than yourself. But I think the more you support yourself, as long as you don't overdo it, as long as you have time for other people, right? The more you support yourself, better off you are, especially emotionally and internally. Better off you are, the more you have to give others, the more you have that you can support others with, right? If you spend some time making money, you can use that money to support other people. But if you don't spend any time making money, you will not be able to support other people financially.
Mm-hmm.
So, right off the bat, logically speaking, how do you support yourself? I think look at it in terms of that. Look at it that way. You have to recognize, like, yeah, I really love to support other people. Fantastic. That's a great motive. And you can use that motive to support yourself a little bit more so that you have more with which to support others. So you can support people more financially. So you can support people more emotionally. Because the better off you are emotionally, the better off you're going to be able to support other people emotionally. Trust me.
It's
You want
true.
to be a solid rock foundation for other people. You can't be a mess in here and then go to someone else and provide the best service. You can provide help and you can relate to people and be like, yeah, we're both broken here. And that's a big help.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge. But for example, if you're being a good therapist or if you're being a psychologist, whatever, having things stable in here helps to give a better example for other people who are trying to better themselves in here and also helps you to drop your own problems for other people because there are times where if you are all crazy you don't know how to drop your own problems and just help other people because it's too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, um I'm gonna go ahead and try to take care of this sneeze fit that I'm
Take care of
holding
it,
off,
man.
and I'm gonna give it over to Joe.
Bless you.
Wow, thank
That
you,
was a good one. I
Joe.
can
Take it
tell.
away.
I can
I'm
tell that
kidding.
was a good one. Um, all right.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
Come on back whenever you're done with your sneeze and fit. So okay, so yes, thank you. This is from Anonymous. Anonymous, thank you for this topic. This is definitely something that I've struggled with, and I've struggled with a lot. Self-talk, how I'm pretty good at encouraging other people. I've been told this before. Like people will tell me, you're a good friend, you're good at encouraging, you're good at uplifting people. And and I do take a great amount of care in my mind to try and tell people they're awesome, tell people they're great, tell people, like how impressed I am with them, because I truly literally am. This is not like I'm blowing smoke up their butt. Right? Like I'm sincere. Like when somebody shows me a drawing, and I'm always thoroughly impressed because I can't draw for squat. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, like anytime I see somebody that drew something, I'm like, dude, that's crazy. When I see somebody put together a clothing outfit, that impresses the heck out of me because I don't have a clue. No clue. Man, I'm terrible at that. When somebody's gaming, and they're doing really good, and they're like, I'm playing in a game with them. Maybe I'm playing Overwatch with them, and I see their numbers and their damage or their healing or whatever, and like they're just and I watch them. I'm just so impressed with how good people can be at so many different things. Some of you guys I know that I've been in chats with you, and like you guys are so dang impressive in all those little things, because every single, all of us have, things that are great. All of us have strengths and weaknesses and skills and dreams and hopes, and we have these things that we want to do. And what happens is we start doing those things, and as time goes on, we get better and better and better and better, right? And so like when I see somebody who's good at something, or I see a quality, I always try to say something about it, because I know how good that feels. I know how good it feels to be encouraged. I know how good it feels to be to be uplifted, to be pointed out when something's good. I'll never forget a boss of mine when I worked at a music store. My parents came into the store, while I was working, and my boss told my parents, he said, you really raised a high quality son. And I remember how important that felt. I remember how big of a deal that was when he said that to my parents. I was like, that's cool. Cal, I don't know what you're talking about either. I didn't see whatever you're saying. Nobody saw. So, I'm the best, Cal. I'm the best supportive internet dad. Ah, you're awesome. I don't know about that, but here's the thing. So we're talking about you love to support other people. But when it comes to myself, I look the other way. I do the same thing. I do the exact same thing. When I will try and uplift. I will put other people, and I'll show them the good that they have. I'll tell them specifically the good that they bring to the table. And then when I look at myself, I see a bunch of garbage. I see all my flaws. I see all the junk. Right? And I live with that every day. And so my therapist, she would call me a high functioning neurotic. Because she would tell me, she's like, you just don't look at the good that you are. You don't look at the cool factor that you have. You don't look at, like all the things that you bring to the table that are so unique and so valuable. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of them are my fault. Some of them aren't. Some of them have been programmed into me by others. And so sometimes it takes some overcoming. So sometimes if we're having trouble, maybe there's a relationship we have with a person that we know or a person that we're close to, and we are basically being denigrated all the time. We're being dissed all the time. We're being told how much garbage we are all the time. We're always being made fun of, whatever, like sometimes that can play into the way that we feel about ourselves. And that can be really, really hard to overcome, because then we can start to buy into the lie that we are worthless, or that we bring nothing of value to the table, or anything that we try to do is basically worth making fun of. Right? I'll never forget. I'll never, ever forget when I was doing martial arts. And man, I was one of the first dads. There were a couple dads that were already black belts when I started doing martial arts, but then I was the first. I was like the only adult white belt on the floor with all these kids for a long time. And I got made fun of by my wife. There were these 3 moms. My wife and 2 other moms would just make fun of me incessantly. At least that's what it felt like. They're always looking at me. They're always poking fun. If I did something that was not really right, they'd laugh at it. If I did something that was actually good, like nothing, like the instructors were impressed. I had my instructor one time saying, "Okay, Mr. Anderson," he had me do this one skill, and I did it pretty well. And he had everybody kneel down. He's like, "Okay, everybody take a knee. Mr. Anderson, do that again." And I did it again. And he was like, "Okay, Mr. Anderson is proof that white men can actually jump."
That's great.
Because I did a pretty good aerial, right? And so like it was cool. So there were all these things, but like then if you're around people that are always finding fault in you, that can really play into this trouble. So how do you then start to see yourself the way you see other people? And I'm starting to figure this out. And in my case, I have to be very, very specific. I can't just generally say to myself, well, I'm a good musician, or I'm a good guy, or I'm good at setting up a microphone, or I'm a good drummer, or whatever, right? Like I have to get very, very specific. Maybe it's because I'm a detail-oriented person, and maybe it's just part of my personality. But in order to give myself a compliment, it almost has to fit into this little niche. Like, man, that one technique that I just learned on drums, I picked that up pretty fast. And that then is a compliment that goes deeper because it's very specific and it goes deep. Right? I start thinking about all the things that I like to do. I was on the phone with Steve, our president, for like 4 hours. Till 4 in the morning last night. Right? We were on the phone for a long time. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, we're talking about all the different things that we're doing at BSS, and I'm talking about all the different jobs that I have, all the different hats that I wear, and I'm like, honestly, the thing that I really don't like is production. I'm not engineering, mixing, and mastering. That's like my least favorite part of the whole thing. one of my most favorite parts is the coordinating with all the people that we're collaborating with, like talking to them, encouraging them, helping, finding them, and then like, bringing them along and figuring out what kind of technological stuff they have so we know what we're working with. And then, like encouraging them and telling them what we need and, working with them and coordinating all that stuff. That's like the thing that I feel the most alive doing right now. That and playing. Playing music, I still really, really, really love. But when it comes to mixing and mastering, all the engineering stuff, like, I just like, it's hard. I'd almost rather go build a house with Kyle.
Sometimes it's like that. That's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, but that's another thing. Like, and Steve told me that last night. He's like, well, you're really good at that. You've always been really good with people since I've known you. You've always been really good. I'm like, I wasn't. And I had to learn all this stuff, right? It took some books to figure this out. But Ryan mentioned a book that I'm reading right now. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And I think I put a link in it last time. I can put a link in it this time too, or in the chat for you. But what to say when you talk to yourself. And he's talking about all these different things. And he kind of takes pot shots at the self-help industry. Like, he's kind of dissing them a little bit because he's like, all that stuff, like so much of that stuff that they say in these, in self-help books and everything. He's like, if a self-help book really worked, why do they keep writing them? Valid point.
I mean, the only thing is, like, if they came out with new information that was valuable in the psychological field, but as much as that tends to happen, no one knows the information except for top tier psychologists working on this stuff that are developing the new information. But like, generally, that it's not even available to like people who are writing these self-help books.
Yep.
So I don't. Yeah, your point. Yeah.
Yep.
It's valid.
So yeah, so like what he's talking about is like this is basically got to be a habit of self-talk that you start to do with yourself, right? Because you read a book, you get this information, it helps you for a little while, and then it kind of fades away, because other information comes into your head, whatever, blah 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 blah. It kind of gets crowded out, and so, how developing a good habit of self-talk is important, and that can last a lot longer. It's the same thing with if you go to like an event, like they have the motivational seminars, Tony Robbins, they've got all these different things. You can go to these success seminars and stuff like that and learn from motivational gurus and stuff like that, and they can pump you up. They can get you going for a little while. And you feel good. But then the feeling fades. And so how then now, and I'll know more as I get farther into the book. I read this book years and years and years ago, and I don't remember all of it, so I'm reading it again now. But that book was one, and Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. That was another one that was really, really good. As far as how do we train our brain to see value in ourselves? How do I see myself like I see another person? And one of the things is like, okay, if I was my friend and I was looking at me and I was talking to my friend, would I talk to my friend the way I talk to myself? Heck no.
Absolutely not.
Heck no. Steve coined a phrase last night. He's like, when I'm with my friend, I'll be minding my P's and Q's and my F's and my U's.
Oh my. Wow. My P's and Q's and FU's. Oh man.
My P's and Q's and F's and U's. I was like, that's great, man.
Oh,
that's hilarious. But anyway, it becomes a habit. Okay, the things I say to other people, why can't I turn those onto myself? Why can't I? Why can't I encourage myself the way I encourage another person? Why can't I look at myself and say, man, Joe, you're a good producer. You're a good drummer. Why doesn't it go deeper? Why can't I say, Joe, like, it's weird, but sometimes we have to learn how we respond.
Mm-hmm.
And it might take a few tries. And so this might take focused effort. And it feels weird because now we're just like feeling selfish and self-centered, right? But like what Ryan was saying, if we are to be good, if we are to truly be loving and truly be encouraging and truly give other people value, the best way to be in the position to do that is to see ourselves as people of value. So how do we get that? Well, we can get that from ourselves. We can get that from our pursuits. We can get that from our self-talk. We can get that from our friends. But solidly speaking, I don't know. I'm still learning this. I'm embarking on this journey now of learning how to love who I am. And I am early in that journey after a long time of being trained to absolutely hate who I am. And now I'm starting to learn how to love who I am. And it starts, for me, it had to start with accepting who I am first. And then starting to learn how I operate. What kind of statements do I actually respond to? And I started to figure out that something very detailed, like I was saying before, something very specific about a detail of something that I've done, if I can compliment myself on that, that goes a lot farther than just a generalized statement of I'm awesome, I'm great, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to be very specific. The way I put that together, that worked great. I love that I was able to do that. When I coordinated the last song we released with, a whole bunch of people, that felt good. And I was able to compliment myself on, the way I messaged people, the way I encouraged them, all this kind of stuff. Like I was just like, you know what? I think I did a pretty good job doing that. It came together. And that was nice. So anyway, wait, what are you guys talking about? Baby, don't hurt me. Wait,
The
what is
R on my
going
keyboard
on?
sometimes doesn't work.
What is going on?
So
Okay, I'm done. Ryan, it's all yours.
thanks.
You tell us how to do this. I got to figure this out.
Okay. Well, okay. Actually, Joe, you said something that is profound, and you said it in passing. I don't know if you realize how important what you said was.
Was it the P's and
Because I
Q's and
didn't.
F's and U's?
No, not that part.
Oh, okay.
Because I never really thought about this either. And I've wondered because this is a good question. It's like, how do you become good at talking to yourself? And it's like, I can tell people, and one of the things that I've pointed to people to before is, prayer, because it at least orders your mind to speaking in good order, recognizing value in things. When you pray, you are literally recognizing value in things. And so that can help guide you. But it's like, how do you talk to yourself good, kindly? And you said something that's really important. And that is, before you can talk to yourself kindly, you have to learn to accept praise.
Mm-hmm.
But not just praise. So, first of all, in order to talk nice to yourself, I think this isn't true for when you're a child, but once you're grown up, okay, this is crucial. Once you've learned how to sorry, once you're an adult, or at least a teenager, once you're no longer a child, you have to dial down your pride so that
Mm,
you can humble yourself enough to accept praise and not turn them down,
mm,
to accept compliments, to accept love, to accept kindness, to accept charity
mm-hmm,
and other people's generosity, and to accept pity.
mm,
Not all of you believe in God, but to God you are pitiable. And that's not a bad thing. But when someone has all the power in the world and you make mistakes or you're not perfect, right? There's going to be a sense of pity. That pity is a good thing because that's what creates mercy.
mm,
To desire someone's good even though they're maybe not good all the way themselves. And to recognize someone's suffering and recognize like they can't be good enough. It's like, okay, well then you have to be pity them. And pity's not a bad thing. And so if you want to be able to talk to yourself in a kind manner, you have to first learn to accept kindness.
mm, mm-hmm,
And to fully accept kindness, you have to humble yourself enough to accept pity, to accept charity and generosity.
mm-hmm,
And it's a weird thing because it's like, well, isn't someone who's got like a high ego someone who accepts all the compliments? No, because they might accept a lot of compliments and praise and they might agree with you. It's like, yeah, I am the best. It's awesome. But they fail to accept charity and pity
mm,
where they aren't strong. And people who are egotistical, if they are proven not to be strong in an area, oh, just watch them flip out.
mm,
Because it will be a dramatic show.
mm-hmm.
As
That's
soon as
true.
something proves
That's
that they're
very
not
true.
as good, right? And so they're not able to accept any sense of pity or charity or certain forms of love.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times they might
Um,
just deny it.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of times they'll just deny it, yeah, because they can't. Because then it's like a competition. They can't accept the reality, so they have to deny it, and they have to prove to you so that they might be right, and then they can prove it to themselves, and it's not great.
Mm.
So,
Neon side, yes, I have seen that too.
mm, yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've seen people with high ego completely tear down people. Yeah, tear people down for praising them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's rough. So you, if you want to talk good, if you want to be able to talk well to yourself, I think Joe just kind of just hit on it on accident perfectly.
I'll hit on you.
You have to learn. Yeah, thanks, Joe. You have to learn how to accept compliments so that when you compliment yourself, so when you praise yourself, so when you notice something good about yourself, you don't just like ignore it or say, no, that's not good enough, or say, no, that's not true, or combat yourself in one way or another. You have to be capable of feeling pity for yourself, right? Because there are times when you're not going to be good enough, but you recognize like you're still valuable. And so to have pity is important. And so to pity yourself, sometimes you're going to have a good conversation with yourself and it's out of pity for yourself. That's a good conversation. That's a conversation that lifts you up because you can see yourself as down. You can see you weren't doing very well that day. But if you have pity on yourself, you can recognize how valuable you are and come in there and save yourself from
Mm.
like a spiral of death, like a spiral of self-destruction. Instead, you look and you go, today was about a rough day. Today you didn't do the right things. But I see in you the capabilities to do incredible things. And this isn't the end, and you don't want to stop at this point. So you encourage yourself and you give yourself a hand and you pick yourself up, right? So you have to, if you want to talk well to yourself, learn to accept praise from others. Learn to accept pity from others. Learn to allow to be a charity. People are like, I'm not no charity. It's like, man, if that's the line that you're saying, you're like, you need to get off your high horse and recognize like you're a more broken case than you think you are if you think you're not a charity. Because everybody is. Everybody needs charity. Everybody
Mm.
needs love from others. Everybody needs to be pitied every once in a while. And that's a good thing. Everybody needs some praise. And so, especially from yourself, because no, not everyone else is going to do that for you. So you got to do it for yourself. So here's what you do. When you're in public and someone gives you a compliment, accept it. And you might be like, I can't accept it at heart, but at least I can say to them, thank you. My point is, like, stop combating it. If someone says something nice to you, don't go, well, don't say, it could have been better. Just say, thank you. I appreciate that. Regardless of how you feel inside, say those words. Why? Because that will start to train your mind to recognize it's okay to receive a compliment, right? Your brain in here is fighting you, but you can train your brain with what you say out loud and how you interact with others. It's a habit, right? Subconscious, it's all subconscious, right? It's all a subconscious habit. So, like Joe said, get around people who praise you. Get around people who compliment you, who notice you're good and celebrate it. And then when they do, say thank you and leave it at that until your brain finally comes and absorbs the habit of saying it's okay to accept compliments and just at face value. Here's the thing, like just like you said in this post, you're okay with giving compliments to others, and when you say those compliments, you mean them from the bottom of your heart, right? When you're there trying to support other people, you mean it. So you have to recognize when other people are trying to support you, when other people are saying nice things to you and cheering you on, they mean it from the bottom of their heart. So who are you to just deny that? So again, allow other people to have the joy of complimenting you and you accepting it. And if you can train yourself to do that, eventually you will incur the habit of accepting your own compliments. Your own, like, hey, I did pretty good on that. And as long as you train yourself to accept compliments, then you can go, thanks. And be happy about it rather than, yeah, but like I could have done better or whatever you say to yourself, right? It's all subconscious habit, whether you find the good in things or the bad in things. And some people, everything but themselves. And the bad habit is finding all the bad in themselves, right? Well, that's one bad thing that they should find right away is I have a bad habit of finding the bad in me, which is what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Poster of the topic. And so, like, let's start there. Let's just start there. Let's fix that bad habit, right? So, and it's that's the journey you're on. That's why you asked this question. So attack it. How do you attack a bad habit? You replace it with a good one. You overwrite the bad habit
Mm-hmm.
with a good habit.
Yeah, you can't
That's how
stop a
you,
bad
that's
habit. You have to create a new good one.
exactly. Yeah. And so once the habit's there, you're not going to get rid of it unless you make a different version of that habit. And so, and that version being much better, it can be a healthy thing. And so, best thing you can do is learn to start accepting compliments and keep finding the good in other people, right? But don't allow yourself to deny the good in yourself. Because you know that's a sham. It's a it's not even realistic. It's just you have a habit of finding bad there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean there's less good there than other people have. It doesn't mean there's more bad there than other people have. It's just a habit of finding the bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people they find the bad in everything. Like I'm sure you've met these people. I remember I used to work with a couple of these people. Everything could be going right in the day. They'll find something bad to complain about. They just love to complain. It's like there's a problem there. And you know what? They didn't love it. They felt terrible all the time. Because, as I've said before, how you view the world is how you're going to feel living inside of it. And if you think the world is a tremendously great place, then you're going to feel great. If you think the world is a tremendously terrible, hideous place, then you're not going to feel so great.
Mm.
And so, the reality, my point is, the reality is the world is what the world is, but your perspective is everything. So, just got to get your head into the idea of celebrating yourself and accepting compliments, accepting praise, and starting a new habit of finding the good in yourself. And one thing you can do, I mean, this is such a silly thing people do, but I think there's truth in it, and that is some people go to the mirror every morning and they say something good about themselves, right? And that's their daily habit. It's like go to the mirror every morning, say something good about yourself. And hey, maybe that works. I've never had to do it, never done it, but I can tell you in my experience, what helped me was learning to stop shutting down other people when they compliment me. Like literally, it was night and day for me. Because I used to have the problem where I was really mean to myself all the time. And I thought terrible things about myself all the time. But I realized that that changed when I started to recognize, like, hey, it is not nice for me to sit there and shoo away other people's compliments.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It is not fair because when I compliment other people and people shut me down, all I feel is like you, I'm trying to be nice to you and you're like just shutting me. Like, let me say something nice about you because I honestly mean it from the bottom of my heart and you're just telling me no. It's like I'm trying to like love on you and you won't let me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's cruel. It's like why are you shutting down other people's good, kind love, like and hope for you? It's like when I learned that it was rude to do that to people, I stopped because I was like, I hate it when other people I hate it when I compliment someone, they come back with some retort that they're not awesome. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, don't do that. So then I was like, I'm doing that to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta stop. And so I stopped. And so I yeah, accept my love right now. Yeah. um so when I stopped denying other people's compliments, that made a big difference in my life with how I talk to myself. Because I stopped denying the good that I found in myself. And I stopped talking to myself like I was crap, right? So I think that's a big point. You're not going to learn how to be nice to yourself unless first you can accept your niceness.
Mm-hmm.
So start by accepting other people's kindness and love. And then since you're already good at supporting other people, learn to support them by accepting their love so that their love can abound,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because people don't get more loving when you shut their love down all the time. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they do to some extent. Yeah. But it doesn't create a good, healthy environment. It doesn't create a loving environment. So, like, let people's love build up by allowing them to love on you. And then allow yourself to love on you as well. Right? Because you have a relationship with yourself. It's one of the most important relationships in the world that you have. And it's so weird because humans can have a relationship with themselves because they talk to themselves or watch themselves and feel things about themselves, and it's weird. That's a crazy cool phenomenon. And that's such a cool phenomenon that I think we should respect it and make it the best we can because that's really cool. Anyways, that's what I got to bring to the table. Bring to the table. Joe, do you have anything else you want to follow up with?
Only that I love what you were saying, and I think it's true. We need to learn to say thank you.
Hmm.
You know, like when somebody compliments us, we can simply just say thank you.
Yeah.
Right? When somebody offers us love, we can say thank you. I love you, whatever, right? Like that is such a good point, and I like yeah, we have to learn to accept, to be accepting. Because we talk about it being better to give, more blessed to give than to receive, right? You've heard that
Sure.
axiom, right? But in order for us to give, somebody has to be receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But one of the great gifts we can give another person is the good feeling of accepting their gift.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like Ryan was just
Yeah.
talking
I mean,
about.
if you can show joy when someone gives you something or is kind to you or whatever, man, that's like just returning the gift like twofold.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because some people have a really hard time accepting anything from others that they didn't feel like they earned. And it really is pride, right?
Mm. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. It's a lack of humility, right? Because we all we all have gifts all around us. We stand now in a society and we have technology that we have accepted from previous generations, building upon new inventions, and now here we have all of this stuff, right? I'm looking at a computer and I'm thinking to myself, that started with a light bulb.
Yeah, it's crazy.
you know J-Ho, you're right, we live in a society, yes we do, and we're all interconnected, right? And we all benefit from others' gifts to the world. And a lot of times we don't even think about it. We take everything for granted until our
Yeah.
internet goes out.
That's right. Until our internet goes out or until our power goes out and we have to use candles,
Yep. 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 We take it all for granted until we're in the middle of a match in a game and then the internet goes out or the power goes out or something, right? And then it's like, oh man, whatever. But when we can learn to be accepting, then maybe we can start to learn to accept our own self-talk. And we have to learn to accept ourselves. Ryan was talking and I ran off because I remember I found this little book from when I was in martial arts. It's Self-Esteem, the Joy of Being Myself, right? And these were things that they would hand out to all the kids. It's just this little tiny little booklet thing, right? It's got all these different things, the pillars of self-esteem, defining self-esteem. It's the joy of who we are, how we perceive and value ourselves. And these are things that, one of the most important things about when my kids started doing martial arts and I started to notice these things that they were talking about, I was like, this is actually really important, because they weren't talking in terms of just fluff and helping, but they were talking about actual real self-esteem, right? And how to cultivate that through having humility is one of the pillars, right? Accountability, self-awareness, these things, right? We have to be aware that we exist along with all these other people. And it's so crazy to me because it should be obvious that if we're really impressed with other people, we're people too. I'm a person too. Why can't I be impressive too? Why can't I be impressed with myself? I have foibles. I have faults. Yes, so does everybody that I talk to that I'm impressed with. They've got faults. And if I look hard enough, I can find them. And here's the funny thing. Like, I can find faults in other people that they don't even know about because they're blind spots to them.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And people can find that in me. People find faults, I'm sure, in me, and they just don't tell me about them. Unless you're Kyle.
That's great.
I love you, Kyle.
Yeah.
And Steve, Steve, he's not afraid to pull punches. Like he won't pull any punches. But these people are close to me. We have a rapport where it's like, they know that our relationship is strong enough. Ryan's the same way, but Ryan he just never finds any fault in anybody, I don't think. He's just so gracious and wonderful and loving.
Pretty common.
What's that?
You know what? It just takes too much energy and time for me to try to figure out what people's faults are. I just nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's understandable.
No, yeah.
It is
I think there are general. It's like flaws in society. And it's like, okay, that person's a man of society. And it's like, so they've got that fault, but it's not their fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they've got a fault, but it's not their fault. That's kind of how I see things. Anyways.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, we all have stuff that we're working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all have grace with each other. We all accept each other to some degree. And, especially if we have friends, I don't know, like Anonymous, I got to tell you, how can you cheer yourself on like you cheer on others? First is recognizing that you are just as human as they are. You are just as human. And you have just as many good points as they do. And they have just as many faults and flaws as you do. They're just arranged differently. Sometimes our faults and flaws are less obvious to the world than others. And some of us have been dealt really difficult hands in certain areas. But I think that hits everybody. I think everybody has tough spots in their lives that are really hard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But just because somebody's successful in one area and seems to have it all put together, there's some other area in their life that they're struggling with that's maybe not as visible. Right? And that's something that we can remember. And as we're cheering on others and we're seeing those good points in another person, I love what Ryan was talking about, the humility to accept a compliment, the humility to accept love, to accept that gift from another person. It's a beautiful thing. Because honestly, that might go even further to make that, like, if your goal is to make a person feel good about themselves, probably more than any words you're going to say to encourage them and uplift them and cheer them on, is your accepting of their gift is going to make them feel even better than any word you're going to say to compliment them or build them up or cheer them on. That'll make them feel good, yeah. But when someone brings to you a gift and it's heartfelt and whatever, and you accept it gracefully and thankfully, and you're joyful about receiving it, that'll probably make them feel 10 times better than any compliment or word you're going to say to them. Just the fact that you accepted their gift.
Like, wow, that just made my day. Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that will make their day to know that they
Mm-hmm.
made your day.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I love that. Yeah, it's crazy. How can you cheer yourself on? First starts with learning to accept the cheering.
Mm.
You might have to learn to accept the cheering of others. Who knows? Maybe you need to learn how to cheer yourself on first before you can fully accept the cheering of another person.
Yeah, there might be a dual battle there.
Mm-hmm.
Might have to battle both sides.
But to relax and accept it. I think, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Ryan, when you pointed that out. Because all the cheering in the world, if I can say all this positive self-talk to myself that I want, but if I don't accept it, it's not going to go
Right.
anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, like literally. That's why I don't necessarily care for the mirror thing. Because I've heard people find success in it, but at the same time, I've met more people who have not found success in that, right? Just like saying good things, compliments in the mirror to yourself. It's like, yeah, you're saying those things, but you don't, even if you believe them, you don't have faith in them. Like you don't live by them. Like you say, like, you might go, oh, you're beautiful. And you might just be like, yeah,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that. But I said it. I said it to myself, and I want to believe it, but the truth is I don't. It's like, okay, that then so you don't even believe it. But let's say you say something like, "Oh, you're smart." It's like, yeah, I can sort of believe that. I am pretty smart. But if you don't fully accept the compliment, you're not going to live by it. So you won't have faith in it. It's not like it will it's not going to change anything for you. You're just going to be saying it and you're not going to like fully accept it. So I think yeah, you definitely need to learn to accept in order to incorporate and live life out like you believe, you know? And so anyways, I think that's a great thing we've stumbled on. Yeah, thanks Holy Spirit. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's really all that I have. I mean, maybe anonymous person whoever submitted this, maybe you don't have an issue with accepting praise from others. But I think it is a common theme for most of us that have a hard time talking kindly to ourselves, accepting compliments from others or accepting compliments to ourselves is a really hard thing to do. And so I think most of us conquering that first is definitely the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that's I think where the big stumbling block is.
Yep.
But anonymous, it could be something completely different. And so, whatever it is, I hope that we've covered something here that has been of some assistance. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, thank you so much for the topic. Love
Yes,
it. You're
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Cats. There are 8 pillars of self-esteem, not 4.
I have a feeling that there are many systems that use pillars of something, and this whole thing is very confused.
Yes,
There are four pillars.
there are 2 sets of 4 pillars.
And two hypothetical pillars. That's only six. What are the other two? What are the other two pillars then, huh? No, it's so silly.
Caterpillars. Yes, there are those too. Ah, squashed one
Hey,
once.
Psyche, you have three cats. Yo tengo three gatos. Oh, tres gatos. Caterpillars.
I don't speak.
Caterpillars. That's the kind of pillars that I like. I like caterpillars.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot more than four caterpillars and two hypothetical caterpillars. In fact, I think there's a lot less hypothetical caterpillars because people don't think about caterpillars hypothetically very often. I think there's a lot of real caterpillars.
Mm-hmm.
So one man chained in the
What is
center?
this?
Wait,
I'm,
so what is this, some kind of sacrificial ritual?
you
What is
guys,
going on here? And how can it be chained hypothetically? You know the pillars are there, but you've never seen them in person. But he's chained to them. Is he chained in such a
are
way that he
is
can't turn around and
gatos
see behind him, so he's assuming this?
is gatos cats?
Gatos is cat. Yeah, cats.
I do not have cats.
Um,
I am
Ryan,
I am
¿tienes
also I am
gatos?
allergic to cats.
Um, I like cats. Cats are okay. I don't know. I don't know if they're. I don't know. They're not my favorite animal, but I don't hate them. I think they're overrated. I think cats are overrated. That's my opinion of cats.
They
It
are a
doesn't mean that they're
fine
bad.
they are a fine
Feline.
meal.
They are a fine feline
Fine
meal.
meal.
Um, no, I think well, the thing is, I don't dislike cats. I think cats are great and they're cute. I just think that they're overrated, and their overratedness makes me not like them as much because I want to like other things. Like I think that there are many other animals that deserve our interest and praise,
Mm.
and no one praises them because they're too busy praising cats, even though cats are just waiting for their owners to die so they can eat them.
That's true.
But
That's true.
yeah, anyways, moving on.
I love
Um,
cats right next to the
yeah,
potatoes. You know, they're great.
right next to the potatoes. Oh no. All right. That's just like dogs. I like them hot and I'm a bun. No. Um,
I saw this meme. It was terrible. It's like I'm a friend like an alligator. I hold them underwater until they stop squirming. Like
oh wow.
I'm like, what?
Wow.
Wow.
What? Wow. I love it.
Oh, it was great. Pretty
Saw the new
funny.
baby giraffe at the zoo today. This feels like there's gonna have a joke of this. Okay, it's not a joke. I thought this was the opening line for a joke, Cal. Don't let me down.
Dab.
Dab, yeah. Joe Dab.
I dab.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that concludes our episode. We're already 25 minutes over, and I'm sure many of you are just waiting to get to bed. So,
Mm-hmm.
thank you guys so much for joining us on this lovely show. Thank you for all your awesome feedback and help and wisdom in the comments that you
Mm-hmm.
guys have shared with us and the people who've put the topics down. You guys are so awesome. We love being here with you guys. It's probably our favorite part of the week, just to hang out with you guys. And so thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. We hope that you guys have an awesome week and it's filled with joy and learning and great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
DWW is fire. Look at Kawhi. So wow, that's awesome. I'm lurking in his basement. Joe's already in his
Hey.
basement.
I've heard your voice in my basement.
Oh, snap. Love you guys. You're amazing. You're the best. Thanks,
You're
Cal.
amazing,
You're
Cal. Thank
awesome.
you for
Thanks for the
your
stream. Thank you.
topics. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Great topics. Great topics. You guys keep on coming up with really good topics. So I'm so happy to be here and to have the honor of even just like you asking us a question, you bringing something to the table for us to all digest and talk about and kind of just give our perspectives on. I mean, I'm so deeply honored and thank you guys so much. So appreciate you all. But yeah, hey, thank you. All right, well, see you guys later. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you next Don't Worry Wednesday at the same time as always.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
We love you guys. Bye bye.
Peace.